Alright, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Aussie or Austin, and today I kind of have an interesting one for you guys. It's actually a story time. Now, I am not the type of person that has a lot of stories. Like, I do, but there's a lot of them that I don't know if I'd be able to make into videos. But I figured this one was pretty good to share, and this one's kind of crazy. So let's get into it. So this all took place around 2023, specifically October 2023. At least I think. I don't have an actual date from when it happened, but I have an aftermath video because I seen the truck later on in that month. So, but what happened is it was a Friday afternoon, and the company I worked for, I got out at 5, so I'd be home at 5:30, right? Well, I also have a younger sister, and she got home from school. Well, when I got home from work, I noticed there was a truck just parked in the middle of my front yard. And in my front yard, we have a couple big trees. We have one big tree in the middle of our front yard, which is like, I want to say like probably 10 feet away from our house. And it's pretty open, and there's a bunch of other smaller trees. There's like 3 other smaller trees in our front yard, and there's one big one by the road. But I was looking, and I was like, what the hell? So I go inside, and I asked my sister, I was like, hey, did you hear anything? There's a truck outside. Do you know if anybody's supposed to be here or what? Well, she's like, no, I didn't hear anything. Well, so I go out to the truck, and I'm like, what the hell? It's a Ford F-150, by the way. It was like a 2010 maybe. So I go out to this truck, and I go to look in, like, through the passenger window, and there's like a grandma sitting in it, like an older lady, elder lady, or let's say. And well, she was trying to get out of the truck. So I was like, what the hell? And she was literally like not even an inch from the street. Like, her bumper was touching the tree. Like, I'm surprised she didn't crash into the tree and hit my house and hurt anything or my sister in it, because, she was the only one home at the time until I showed up. But, yeah, so she's trying to get out, and I asked her, I was like, hey, like, what happened? Do you need help? And she's like, yeah, I need help. Well, so I go and set her on my front porch. I walked her to my front porch, set her down, right? And I asked her if she needed any water. She had a book with her that she was reading. I don't know about that, but I asked her if she needed any water. Well, I was kind of dumb at the time, which I still am. I'm not the brightest. Well, I ended up walking away, and I walked over to the other side of the house because we have a slider door to our backyard. I ended up walking to the other side of the house, and I asked my sister to grab me a bottle of water for this lady. And I was like, oh, that's a nice old lady. Like, I can leave her alone for a minute, right? Unsupervised. Well, I ended up getting the bottle of water, and I come over to the other side of the house. As I turn the corner, right, I just see this lady like pounding on my front door, and she's like grabbing at the handle and shit. And I scream, I'm like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then she starts screaming that she's like, this is my house, this is my house, this is my house. I'm like, no, it's not. I've lived here, all my life. I'm the reason why we have this house. Like, I was like, this is not your house, and I know it's not your house, lady. Well, I ended up not like hardly grabbing her, but I ended up grabbing her arm or whatever and told her not to touch my door, and she calmed down. I got her to sit back down, and I should have called the police. I didn't call the police. I should have, but I ended up calling Mom and telling her the whole scenario. And I was like, I don't know, probably 19 at the time. Yeah, 19. And I ended up calling Mom, and I was like, hey, like, this lady's here. She's in our front yard. And she's like, did you call the police? I'm like, no, not yet. Well, she's like, do that. Well, as I'm trying to call the police, she calls me back and said, police are on the way. And I was like, okay. And I think my mom was just getting done with work. So she called the police. Police came over to my house, which is like the first time I've ever actually had police out to my house. And where I kind of live is kind of like rural. Like, it's not like city or anything. It's just kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Like, I have neighbors, but they're not 10 feet away from me. Yeah, so the cops ended up coming out, talking to her, talked to me. I don't think they talked to my sister. They didn't really, I don't know. They might have a little bit. But so they get there, so that's ask her a bunch of questions. Well, I ended up talking to the cop, and he ended up filling me in what happened. And this lady was actually from, which I didn't know this, I might have known this, but I kind of forgot about it. But there's a old folks home, probably 3 or 4 miles down my road. And, or no, it's probably more like 2.5, yeah, maybe 3. But, so what happened is this lady, she ended up going on a rampage, basically. She ended up fighting with one of the caregivers that were taking care of her. Well, she ended up somehow sneaking out of the building, ended up stealing one of the caregiver's truck. Well, then she went and left. As she was leaving, there was a caregiver in front of her, ended up running the caregiver over, which it was only in the leg. Like, she ran over her leg, and I heard she was okay. And, well, I guess the lady ended up going down my road, and she cut between my 2 trees that are on the other side of my yard, because my driveway's kind of like the middle of my yard, kind of offset a little bit. So it's like on the other side, we have a couple more trees on the other side of my driveway. Well, this lady ended up swerving off the road through my trees and did basically a loop around my driveway, and then ended up right in front of my tree that's right in front of my house, like literally 10 feet away from my house. And I guess the officer said, because there was cops and ambulance chasing her, apparently, or like looking for her. And from what the cop told me, it sounded like that she panicked and didn't know what to do. And she ended up hearing the sirens and swerving off because she was scared or something like that. But I also felt bad too for this lady after the fact of what I knew what happened, because she was probably like 70s, 80s, like she was a older lady, let's say. And I kind of felt bad because turns out this lady had dementia, which is kind of crazy. And I was like, how the fuck is she even driving? Like, how did that happen? Like, what a 1 in a million chances of this happening and this like not being worse than what it could be, you know? Well, I ended up getting the full story from the police officer. I talked, kind of just hung out there. The guy made sure she wasn't going to take off running, because apparently she was fucking full sprint at that old folks home. Like, she was on something, it seemed like. But yeah, we ended up, then the cop was there for probably half an hour. I ended up actually helping him walk her into the truck, to his truck, for a squad truck. And I actually ended up helping him get her up in the seat, because she couldn't, because the truck had a little bit of a lift on it, and it had one of those side steps on the truck. It was a Ford, but it was like a newer one. But yeah, I actually helped her into the truck. And I asked the officer, like, what's going to happen? He's like, well, I'm just going to take her back down to the old folks home, and we'll make sure that it's squared away and nothing like this happens again. I was like, okay. Because I was like, it could have been a worse scenario than what it was. Like, someone could have got hurt. Now, I don't know how dementia works, but I mean, if you're very forgetful, I can't imagine driving is that easy. Like, if you're always like forgetting stuff, But yeah, I actually have a video here. This is of the truck. I will post it on this. I'll put it on the screen of the video. But yeah, I think that's it, guys. And I hope you guys have a good one. I'm out. Peace.